What did you do in the military?
I was in the Navy. I joined ROTC as a freshman at Northwestern. Didn't know what I was signing up for, but knew I wanted to sign up for something, to do something, to be something, to grow up, and that's what I did. And then I served for 4 years in active duty on the USS Bunker Hill. So I mean, you fast forward like 2014, and I was having breakfast with a guy working for 1871, which is the big incubator in town, and 1871 had this like cool factor of like, I'd never even been there, and like it had this allure of like all the cool things are happening there. And I asked him the question, I was like, what are you guys doing around military veterans? Is that something that has come up? Is that a category? I'm, informally, like I had a small network of veterans, a super small network of veterans, but the ones that I knew were doing some interesting things, and a few of them were in the process of starting businesses or wanting to start businesses. And he kind of created an opening, was like, I think it's a great idea, we haven't done anything about it, but maybe you can. And so I remember going home from that breakfast and being like, this is interesting, and I don't know if there's something here, but if there is something here, we'll know quickly. And so put together a PowerPoint over the course of the next couple weeks, like sat back down with him, was like, I think we could do something here, and just pulled in the people I knew. And then we announced it at the Pat Tillman Foundation luncheon. And I didn't speak at the event. The mayor spoke, and then Howard Tillman spoke. And I sort of sat like watching all this unfold and not even sure like what's my role in this versus 1871's role. Not sure, like, is this just like a hobby project? And when we announced it formally, like, we got a bunch of applicants, like I think 50 or 60 people like reached out, inbound, with various things.
The early days of the bunker, more or less, was just, we'd meet up on Thursdays every morning at 9, or every Thursday morning at 9 a.m., have coffee, and there'd be speakers that would come in, and we would kind of just talk about what entrepreneurship is.
Just sort of like on overdrive, taking every coffee, going to every happy hour, going to every event, having every call, like everything's a possibility.
I think most chapters started with Todd sending them a smiley face text, and then we ship them a banner. And now Tim and Kirby would have an aneurysm if we did that.
While we're doing this in Chicago in this frenzied sort of way, like we're getting calls from people in other cities.
And so you had this like ping pong effect of folks that said like, I'm doing something cool. If we do it under the same banner, we could probably get a bigger output. And like that was the thinking at the time. There wasn't like some grand strategy.
My name is Devin Sizer. I am the development manager, primarily focused on our foundation fundraising and relationships. But yeah, I mean, we had these really active, exciting communities in Philadelphia, in Austin, in Nashville, in Raleigh-Durham. Folks who had gotten chapters going and were just gaining so much traction. And so this was an opportunity for us to begin to bring our chapters together in a more unified way.
So we decided to sort of organize what I would call our first summit and bring this team of people that I had been talking to, but they didn't necessarily know each other, bring them to Chicago for a conversation, bring some of our national funders into the room, and present what we thought could be the first iteration of a national strategy. And if you ask me, like, how do you do that? It's like you come up with an idea that feels so compelling that it can't be ignored. What are you going to do? And I was like, we're going to, build America.
What does it mean? What does the Bunker Built America tour mean to you?
Oh, that's a good question. It means growth. I am Amy Mortensen, and I am currently the Development Communications Manager. None of us had ever designed and executed a tour, a cross-country tour with what. So it was growth in a lot of ways. It was growth for us as an organization, and so it was like the expansion concept. It was growing our programs, and it was definitely growing us individually as people.
My name is Becca Keedy, and I am the Chief Development Officer at Bunker Labs. I served in the Army National Guard for 20 years as a saxophone player. So we had all these chapters that were kind of scattered all over the United States, highly motivated in building incredible communities and securing their own sponsorship.
It was remarkable. Like, people were meeting up, there was happy hours, there was new chapters popping up, there was musters going on. So there was all these in-person connections that were going on around the country.
I just remember Devin being so grateful that she could just work on writing grants, which ended up being a great move because she's a genius at that.
I'm just a ball of anxiety and spreadsheets. There were so many people who were interested, so many cities, there were so many programs to do, there was marketing, there was finance, there was fundraising. We were working through that balancing act of how do we support the chapters well, but also add new chapters, what's the right equation there. A lot of puzzle pieces that we couldn't quite figure out how to work. Even with so many great team members, it's just a complicated thing.
It's like, how do we create this like cyborg, entity where they're already doing amazing things and maybe getting feedback and resources, but we wanted to build learning tools and better connectivity tools to enhance the community and make it easier for people to get what they were looking for.
So like, how do we connect everybody? How do we communicate? Then from there, it was like, we've successfully created some great CEOs. Like, whoa, like we have some CEOs now. And they're like, hey, Bunker, like don't let us down. Like we still need your help. And so that's how CEO Circle was created. I think while that was being created, we're like, let's do a TV show. Like we're gonna do Launch Lab Online. Let's do a show. Let's do a live show. Wanna do a live show? We should totally do a weekly live show. The events, the the national event tour. It was the VIR program.
After we had developed this strategy, we had the board's approval, we had such great buy-in from members of the team, from partners, etc. That was such an exciting moment because I really could see it coalescing.
We had a variety of different programs running around the country. We had a happy hour series. We had some large partnerships coming into the mix. So the questions we needed to answer were, what are we? Are we an accelerator? Are we an incubator? Are we a technology provider? Are we an early stage venture fund that only invests in veteran-owned businesses? Like we had all of these ideas that were coming from around the country. Not we like here, but we like everyone in the organizations.
One of the things that's super confusing about this time is beginning to realize the people that were successful in some ways stopped showing up. So you'd have this like heartbreak over, it's almost like parenting. I'd be like, man, whatever happened to, where is Kanie O'Neill? Like we haven't seen her in ages. And I'd have this heartbreak, like we failed her, right? But I'd call her and she'd be like, sorry, I haven't been around. I'm just really busy growing my business. I'm like, oh, that's actually the point. And this is the thing that just hit us so clearly. This is all about the relationships that we have with each other. It is the relationships that we curate in the community.
It was what the American Legion was in 1948. It was like, let's create a center of gravity so people can come in and connect and figure out where they need to go. And
it's like you can give someone a fish and they eat for a day, or you can teach them to fish and they eat for a lifetime. That's really what it is you're teaching them to fish. It's a guy who's just like super motivated, super hard worker, and he wants to start a coffee company, or he wants to start a t-shirt company, or a brewery, or any of these that are going to support their family and give them a really good living. But it's not necessarily the $1 billion sale.
The most ambitious place I've ever worked for sure. And to see the growth and the scale, yeah, it's really cool. I've never worked at a place that meant so much to so many people.
What I look forward to is in 10 years, when I'm trying to start whatever might be next for me, slipping into a Bunker Labs event in Portland, Oregon, or in, Dallas, Texas, and being able to know that I can go to a Bunker Labs event, signing in, not being known, being asked for a donation, because that'll be important, but just going to get the service that I need. And the role that I play in this story doesn't need to be relevant, and I don't even want it to be relevant for what happens next, because the value that's created is in the hearts of the people that wore the uniform and served, and our only job is to give them a banner under which they have the excuse to unlock that goodwill for the people that they love. It's bigger than all of us. And watching that is the thing that to me just continues to give me an incredible amount of joy, of awe, and of humility because of all the contributions that are being made.